Thank you. Daniel Cormier came out with a statement. Real simple. Daniel Cormier talking about Luke Rockhold. Now, make sure you don't forget the relationship. These are lifelong teammates. These guys shared the room with each other. Nobody knows Luke better. Nobody knows Daniel better, that whole thing. So Daniel Cormier weighs in on Luke, and he says, I don't know why Luke is calling for Paulo Costa. Is it a winnable fight for Luke? Yeah, sure it is. But it's a very dangerous fight. And I don't know what my friend Luke has seen in Paulo Costa that made Paulo the one that he's coming after. Now, the only reason I say thank you is I'm wondering that same thing. That's a killer fight. You count me in all day. I'll promote that thing, build that thing, watch that thing, I'll do everything on, I'd love it. But I also don't know why. Where Luke Rockhold left off, he was supposed to be fighting at Madison Square Garden opposite Sean Strickland. That was a big fight. That was the fight that makes one of them a #1 contender. And whether they officially get the nod or not, you understand what I'm saying. There's 2 and 3 fights in every division at all times. That would be within the top 3 that would be looked at. And if Sean Strickland, who'd won 7 straight at that point, gets the jump on a former world champion, it might be enough to put him over. But if Luke Rockhold can be the one to stop Crazy Sean and do it at the Garden in front of everybody and remind people, I used to be the king of this division and I'm back. Both of them are now in a position where they're probably 1 win away from being back in there for the belt. Reason I say that. When that fight got scrapped, traditionally speaking, when a guy, in this case Luke, who couldn't make that date, returns, you try to pick up where you left off. Luke went in a different direction. He went after Paulo Costa. Now, I got no problem with it. I don't know what an easier fight is or a harder fight is. Those guys are going to be a pain in the ass for different reasons. But that's all that Daniel was speaking to. All Daniel is saying, hey, what is it about? What are you seeing here? Do you guys have a personal beef? Did you cross paths? Did this guy wrong a friend of yours and you think you got to make a right? What is the story behind that? I don't know. But I'm also curious. There's a very random call out by Luke, and it's one of those call outs that you had better mean what you're saying because you're probably going to get it. Now, I'm hearing from extreme inside sources, I must leave it at that Paulo Costa is going to fight Sean. But I also was told Paulo and Sean were going to fight prior to Luke inserting himself. Luke make things interesting. I know a lot of you are Luke fans, but I know Luke's got his share of haters too. We can all agree on one thing. The sport is more fun when Luke's around. The sport is more interesting. And for Luke to come out off of an injury and a loss and call out a guy who's also off a loss, he can get that fight. UFC's in a great position right now. If those are the 3 guys and they're trying to choose what the order is, he's in a great position. I would have assumed Luke was going to go after Sean. He didn't do that, though. Luke went after the same guy Sean's going after, which is Paulo Costa, and I'm with Daniel. I don't know what you guys are seeing in Paulo that you think that's the guy to call out. There's a lot of guys you fight when you have to fight them. And that's various reasons. You get pressured into it, your number's up, somebody calls you, your ego's too big to say no. That all goes in the category of I have to fight it. There's other guys, you don't ask for it. A fighter has one job, and it's the same job, rinse and repeat for the duration of your career. Find the biggest fight against the easiest opponent. That's not what Luke's trying to do. Luke is fighting a great, big, mean, angry son of a bitch. I do not see guys calling out Paulo. This is another reason. I told you, Luke's got his fans, Luke's got his detractors. I'm in the category of fan. I like Luke, and I like him for these kinds of reasons. Go back and look at anybody's schedule and resume, and you tell me anybody at middleweight that's ever had a harder path than Luke Rockhold, but he does that to himself. He goes out and he finds these matches. He's following the code. And it tells me, so Daniel asked a question. I've got the same question, but now let's try to answer it. What this tells me is that Luke is not done with the dream of being champion. That's what it tells me. You do not fight Paulo Costa unless you're trying to climb the ranks. You do not call out the biggest, scariest sumbitch you can unless you're trying to get back to a title contention. And the rules are different for Rockhold. Rockhold and Weidman are playing by different rules. It doesn't matter what their recent record is. They're world champions. They are on the path to someday being in the Hall of Fame. They can do more with 2 wins than anybody else can, and they should have that right. They should have that right. You don't rest on your laurels, but your laurels do matter. Resumes do come into it. paper does come into it. Luke calling out Paulo Costa, not going after Sean, whatever. I'm with Daniel. I'd love to know what it's about, but I think that I can at least make a guess and convince you guys Luke Rockhold is not done chasing his old belt.